M10 Plus is yet another GoPro Hero 4 Session alternative. This little cube-shaped action camera can record 2K videos at 30 frames per second and also full HD videos at 60 frames. It also can take 4 megapixel still images and has gyro video stabilization. With its price tag of around $140, it will be a huge challenge for SJCAM to prove that this camera can compete with Polaroid Cube Plus and also GoPro's Session, which is around $200 now. I've been using this camera for around a month. I've recorded a bunch of videos, I've taken it on hikes and also used it as dash camera in my car, and in today's video I would like to show you all of its features and of course test it out to see whether or not it is worth its price. Stay tuned. M10 Plus is an advanced version of the M10 camera, which was originally launched in 2014. Thanks to its cubic form, it is considered as GoPro Session low-budget alternative and also Polaroid Cube Plus competitor. Camera has a built-in Wi-Fi which allows you to remotely control it via the smartphone app. One of the biggest improvements besides better video options with more frames per second and 2K is that the camera has a gyro stabilization. Gyro is actually a tiny piece of hardware which removes shakiness from video in a similar way in which digital stabilization does. Looking at specs, do not be surprised that the camera seems the same as the SJ4000 Plus gyro version, because it really is. This camera is just a repack of SJ4000 Plus gyro. Besides the shape, size and weight, these two cameras are completely the same in terms of video quality, features and everything else. Like it or not, this is how these guys operate lately. They repack the cameras and adds a little bit more improvements and double the price. I don't like this way of doing it, but it seems that they're making a profit, so good for them. Square-shaped camera comes packed in tiny rectangular cardboard box. Packing is improved compared to some of the earlier M10 editions, and once you open the box there are 3 mini boxes inside. One comes with a camera inside and the other 2 come with bunch of accessories which you can see on the photo now. I'll not go through accessories list because they are the same for each and every Chinese knockoff camera, so why bother explaining everything all over again. The overall appearance of the M10 Plus is quite neat. Design-wise, it looks quite good. Like all of the SJCAM cameras, build quality is not on the highest level. It has smooth plastic surface, whereas the edges are made out of patterned mixture of plastic and rubberized materials that prevent slipping. Back of the camera has 1.5-inch LCD display on which you can preview videos, photos and live view what you're recording. Even though the camera appears to be like a cube on photos, and while you're holding it, once precisely measured, it is obvious that camera is not exactly a cube. You can see the dimensions of the camera now, and I should point out that it weighs around 69 grams with battery inside. I will not go through the camera menu and show you each of these options and what each button does. If you're interested in that kind of things, I'll put the link to an article which I wrote which clarifies each and every option and also explains what each button here does. Let's go right to video quality and see how this camera performs. So, some of the most common resolutions which you guys will probably use is 2K at 30 frames per second and Full HD at 30 and 60 frames. I mostly recorded in Full HD at 60 frames per second. And here now you can see videos that I took. So right now you're seeing my recordings at 180p 60 frames per second, and the goal here is to show you how colors look on this camera. Camera itself is quite realistic in terms of colors. Even though the day here was quite cloudy, colors are quite decent and better compared to some of the other action cameras. They do look a bit washed out, but it is due to the sunlight. Also, what bothered me here is the overexposed sky. You see it's completely white, even though it was a bit gray, to be honest. And here you can see how sharp the camera is. So in close distance you can read perfectly the writings on the signs, and that is for close distance. But I have some arguments a bit later, which I'll show you in a moment. Great feature is also gyro stabilization. Take a look at how stabilized video here looks. I assure you that if it was some other camera it would look much shakier. But gyro here works pretty decent even if you're running, climbing or simply walking like I did here, so footage look very well stabilized. It's not perfect, it's not optical stabilization, but it does the job for an action camera. It is good. Okay, so right now I would like you to pay attention to this particular video coming in. Take a look at it. Did you see this? Well, let me slow it down. This. What the fuck is that? I was completely scared and did not know what was happening. This happened on multiple videos of mine and I was really worried about it. What happens here is that there is some sort of a lens problem according to manufacturer, and they told me that they did not have complaints about it and that 2 out of 15,000 sold units with this problem is not a huge deal. This is basically a black frame that happens at a fraction of a second of your video, so this is basically just one frame, and I think that camera somehow struggles with the exposure and then does this blackout shit that completely looks ridiculous, but it is what it is. I noticed it, and once I started seeing these black holes, it was aliens all over it. In each and every video I started seeing it, and this was completely something that ruined the overall impression of the camera for me. There are not many people reporting it. I'm not sure if it only happens on some units or if it happens on all of them. If you have M10 Plus, please let me know if you noticed something like that. Perhaps it's a quality control issue, perhaps all of units have it, I really do not know. The next issue I'm having is the sharpness. Actually, it's not the sharpness, it's more of a lens focus issue. So, when the camera gets close to an object, it is quite easy to detect details. It's not perfect, it's not ultra sharp, but from 180p it is pretty decent. For instance, take a look at this bus, and when I'm close to it with my car, you can see that the license plate can be read. You can read numbers or letters, whatever. However, you can see here that even details, edges of the car are also visible. And please notice that in the distance how much the bus gets away. Here, for instance, you see that the bus is few meters away, and when I crop the image there is no way to detect the license plate. So when object gets few meters away, it is impossible to detect details. You see that it is really, there is no way to tell the difference in numbers or letters. However, when bus is only 2 meters away, as you can see, license plate is pretty clear and easy to read. And it's not only this situation with the bus, it happens all the time. For instance, this car here was few meters away. However, once I extracted the frames from the video and I tried to zoom it in, there is no way to read the license plate, and I really did not have a need to blur it out because nobody will see it anyway. That was it with sharpness and blackout. So those are my 2 main issues with this camera that really ruined the video impression for me. Again, colors are good, stabilization is excellent, and now let's see gyro and how gyro works together with audio. So I'll now play some videos that I took while talking just to see how the audio compares to some other cameras. So right now the VDR is turned off. Sorry, VDR is turned on. And let's see the difference. So this is test with 180p 60 and the gyro is turned on. So gyro is turned on now, and let's see if I can get down there without breaking my leg. So there will be a lot of shakes, motions around here. As you can see that the surface is not the best. It's quite wet. But it is what it is, so. So there you have it. You had your fun seeing me trying not to break my leg running downhill, and that was it. You see that audio is really not that good. I mean, you can hear my voice, but it is mono sound and it really does not sound good. I must be honest, for 140 bucks, audio must be better. Of course, for action cameras, people usually do not use sound, they add music in post-production and make action videos. That is completely true, but some people like vlogging and talking, and for that purpose you really need to hold the camera close to your mouth, not more than 30 or 40 centimeters from your mouth, in order to hear the sound decently. Let's move on now to photos and see how camera performs when taking still images. When shooting photos, please make sure to turn gyro off, because gyro stabilization will mess a bit with your photo quality and reduce it. Just now here see the difference between the photos when gyro is turned on or off. I know that it cannot be seen fully on YouTube, but I believe that you can notice that the images when gyro is turned on lose a bit of quality and sharpness. Camera has a bunch of settings and features that you can use to improve photo and video. For instance, white balance, you can choose it manually, and also you have this VDR that you can use in situations when you have lots of contrast between shadows and sunny areas. Besides that, manufacturer claims that photos are 12 megapixels. I already mentioned that that is incorrect because camera has 4 megapixels image sensor, which means 4 image megapixel sensor cannot take 12 megapixels photo. I already had this discussion on SJ4000 Plus, and I'm really mad that these guys are using this sort of deceptive methods. Of course, when you download this photo and preview it on your PC, it will say 12 megapixels, but only because manufacturers interpolate or actually scale up the resolution of the camera. The difference can be seen, however, when you try to zoom in the image, you'll see that image is not that sharp, and this kind of images are okay for social media and stuff like that, but for printing and some serious color correction or photoshopping, it's really useless. Okay, now take a look at a few more images I took. All of these images and raw video samples you can download on my website. I'll put raw video samples there, and I'll put a link in the description of this video so that you can preview both images and videos on your own PC, because YouTube compresses quality and messes up with videos pretty much. So make sure to download raw samples if you're seriously considering getting this camera before you buy it. Perhaps the best thing about this camera is that it is so damn easy to use. User experience is super slick. Thanks to navigational buttons of the side and weight of the camera, it is very easy to hold it in one hand and operate with one hand while drinking vodka or martini or whatever you prefer with other. And I'm sure that newbies and beginners will also find it quite easy to navigate, especially because camera has an LCD display at the back, so you can see what you're recording, you can see photo composition, you can preview videos as well. By the way, while previewing videos, you can also hear the sound. Great feature. Also, camera has a few shortcuts. For instance, when you hold Wi-Fi button for 2 or 3 seconds, you will activate the gyro stabilization, and you can also turn it on or off just by holding the Wi-Fi button. Very nice feature. And also, I forgot to tell you that the gyro stabilization can be turned on or off while you're recording. This is great because you can compare and see the difference. Quite handy also. Camera uses the same 900 mAh battery that each and every SJCAM uses. Manufacturer actually advertises 80 minutes of recording, and I managed to get significantly better battery performance. You can see the table here that I managed to get 98 minutes of recording in 180p 60 with gyro turned on and LCD turned off. So battery life is not that good, but it is not 80 minutes as manufacturer advertises it. As far as memory card is concerned, it uses up to 32 GB memory card, but my Sony 64 GB worked without any problems on it. Okay, so I already told you guys about all the features, video, photo, audio quality, and now a bit about customer support. So in my opinion, customer support is a very important thing when you're buying a new camera or whatever you're buying. And even though most of Chinese brands do not give a damn to provide you any support, SJCAM improved quite a lot compared to just SJCAM a year ago. So they are better, they now have online forums, they have online chat, and you can reach them out on email. However, what I dislike about their support is that they are not 100% familiar with their own products. I think that their staff needs a bit of more technical education and a bit more of training to be able to reply promptly and, more importantly, correctly on a bit complex questions that some of people have, not just basic ones. Okay, that was it. Let's summarize my overall experience with this camera. Let's begin with pros first. I really like the packaging of the camera. It comes really neatly packed and protected with lots of accessories. I found the design and shape quite appealing. Camera is extremely lightweight and easy to operate. Software inside and overall user experience are pretty good. Probably the best feature of this camera is video stabilization, which makes noticeable difference by reducing video shakiness. I found that gyro stabilization quick shortcut button also quite handy. SJCAM staff updates the software on regular basis and fixes the bugs. And what is more encouraging is that these guys are now involved on several online forums and they're acquiring feedback from users and improving their cameras. However, now the cons. Build quality of the camera is not that good. It feels cheap and a bit plastic, you know. But okay, I got used to that, seeing all sorts of action cameras from China. I do not like deceptive methods manufacturers use by saying that you can take 12 megapixel photo resolution where in fact it is 4 megapixels. I'm quite used to that with Chinese brands because nearly all of them use this sort of interpolation of photos, but SJCAM is quite known brand now, and I think that they seriously need to reconsider their strategy and marketing and stop acting like one of those shitty knockoff companies that exist for a day until they sell out their first batch. I mean, ridiculous. As far as video is concerned, I have mixed feelings about it. Colors are very good, it has excellent stabilization, but there is a focus issue that happened on both of my cameras, and also the famous black frames issue, which happens while recording videos, and it happens on one frame only. And black frames is not a huge issue because most of people will not even notice it, but I noticed it and it really bothered me. But focus issue seems to be the biggest problem. With all that in mind, even though SJCAM created a new camera with very nice gyro stabilization, they improved their support, packing and everything else, I kinda cannot recommend this camera, really. It is a mediocre product at a mid-range price. I mean, if we have in mind that SJCAM launched a new camera, 5000X LE, which by the way I'll review in few weeks, it is unthinkable that this camera costs $140. Also, GoPro has it Hero 4 Session for $200. Polaroid has it Cube Plus for $140. So SJCAM really cannot be compared with those brands. Not in customer support, not in hardware, software, anything basically, really. Overall, if you already have an SJ4000 M10 Plus or SJ4000 Plus, I do not think that there is any need that you should upgrade to SJCAM M10 Plus, because it brings some minor improvements at a twice higher price. Also, if you do not have an action camera yet, but you really like the shape, you can take a look at some other alternatives. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and if you have any sort of questions or you just want to tell me your experience with SJCAM M10 Plus, please do not hesitate to leave a comment below. And of course, for more information, more video samples and more in-depth review on this camera, please visit my website. Thank you very much for watching and see you in the next video. Happy recording. Bye bye.